should you take these meds, they have a huge side effect profile to lose 10 to 15% and cause bowel obstructions.
Welcome back to the Kingdom Fasting Podcast. I'm Brianne Sims, RN.
I'm Dr. Sam Sims, nurse anesthesiologist.
And we are still in our series about what is fasting, why should it matter to me. And today we have an interesting topic.
Yeah. Couldn't I just take one of these diet meds instead of fasting? I mean, is it just a pill? Should I just take a pill or a shot? Wouldn't that be the better way to do it? And so one of the most popular meds is semaglutide, or one of the brand names is called Ozempic, but there's other names. They're GLP-1 medications. They're diabetic medications. And what they do is they do some interesting things. They slow down your digestion, and it helps people lose weight. So is it the magic pill? Well, you lose about 10 to 15%. That's kind of like the peak of those things. And so now you're starting to see articles, I've taken Ozempic, I've stopped losing weight, what do I do now? And they say, go back to that thing that you were doing before that didn't work. Exercise more, eat less. Go back to doing the thing that didn't work. That fails 99% of the time. Go back to that after it stops working. Oh, and by the way, if you stop taking the Ozempic, which can be over $4,000 a month, you're going to regain.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Okay. So there's that.
Not great.
But they make $10 billion a year on this medication. So, or these medications, they make $10 billion a year. The highest drug payout ever is $3 billion, ever. So they still, if they had to make a payout, they would still have $7 billion left. So, right. just kind of interesting to like they make this much money, so this is kind of like, I don't know, necessarily don't care, but I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but also they're going to make so much money they don't have to really worry about a payout.
They don't really care if someone sues them because of the side effects from the medication, basically. Yeah.
So some side effects are constipation. That happens. It gets worse the longer you take it. Pretty much 15% of people have it by the time they hit, just shy of 18 months. It is a 3.5 times increase of intestinal obstruction or bowel obstruction. And bowel obstructions can actually kill people. In animal studies, they found that it increases the length of the bowel, the small bowel. Now, I can guarantee you they're not measuring anybody's small bowel before they get them on this med. So you have a hole, right? And if you stretch it, it makes the hole smaller. Okay, so increase it. Now, in addition, there's these things called villus, and actually inside your intestine, there's little things called villi that kind of go like this inside the hole. Okay, and they reach out and they help you absorb nutrients, but they get longer, so they do this, and then you stretch the hole out, and then there's no more room. And people get bowel obstructions. People are starting to sue because they say I have a paralyzed stomach because food does not actually move. So that the stomach and the intestines actually start to not be as pliable. Yeah. And people get food stuck in their stomach. So then on the anesthesia side, there what's called an aspiration risk. They're actually at risk of having food sit in their stomach, and actually when they go and have anesthesia, that food can actually get up into their lungs and can potentially cause pneumonia and kill you. So that's really all the kind of like, should you take these meds? They have a huge side effect profile to lose 10 to 15% and cause bowel obstructions. There are already people having problems with these, and they're already saying, basically, and they stop working. And they're very expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens if you stop taking it?
You regain your weight.
Right.
So that's, you stop taking it, you regain your weight. But basically the paralyzed stomach may never return.
Elasticity of your stomach may not return.
Yeah, it may not return.
It might be paralyzed.
So it might be, but it's people are basically suing for, I have a paralyzed stomach. That's one of the common term, but basically it doesn't move anymore, and that food sits there. So that may never get better. So maybe just paralyze your stomach for the rest of your life, and they made you an aspiration risk for the rest of your life, and a bowel obstruction risk for the rest of your life. So
kind of scary stuff.
Yeah, and so then you say, well, maybe I'll just get gastric bypass. Okay. Well, the average cost of that is about $25,000, and it has a list of complications: bleeding, blood clots, bowel function changes. Oh, bowel obstruction. Well, that's interesting. You can get adhesions and you can get bowel obstructions from gastric bypass. Lisa Marie Presley just died of a bowel obstruction from complications from her gastric bypass. Oh. So it can kill people. It can cause gallstones, GERD, hypoglycemia, hernias, kidney stones, it can leak, you can get nauseous, you can get vomiting, you get nutrient deficiency, you can get injury to the organs when they do the surgery, you get ulcers, and you can get wound infections. And that's just the common complications. Fasting doesn't cause these things.
Yeah.
Fasting is free. Fasting gives your guts a time to rest and heal. So, could you take a pill? Yes, you could, but you got to understand the complication rate of those things, and the changes to your stomach and your bowels may be permanent and long term.
Right.
Yep.
Well, especially with surgery.
Yeah, especially with surgery, but sometimes the other pills. And if you stop taking these expensive medications, you're going to regain the weight.
Right.
If you stop fasting, you may regain the weight, but you always go right back to fasting.
And even some people have gastric bypass to regain the weight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so people have gastric bypass, they start to regain the weight, and they go tell them, go back to doing the thing that wasn't working before, exercise more, eat less, which has a 99% failure rate. And so it's very discouraging.
It can be.
So these things peak, and...
But fasting is always going to be there for you.
Yep, and fasting will always work.
Yep.
And fasting's free.
It's free. That's the main thing. Fasting is free.
Fasting's free.
And it will save you money.
And that's how your body's designed to lose weight. So don't just go and pay for a bunch of expensive stuff. Don't buy an expensive medication. Use free fasting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is your motivation today to do some fasting or to get started with that. And if you want help starting your first fast, I encourage you to go to our website and check out the 5-day challenge to help you get to your first 24-hour fast. It's free. So yeah, go check it out. And if this podcast was interesting to you and helpful, we would love it if you shared it with a friend. Thanks for being here.